Could you go ahead and give me your name and your organization and what you do there?
My name is David Wollman, and I'm at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and I serve as the Deputy Director of the Smart Grid and Cyber Physical Systems Program Office. Now that's a mouthful, but in essence it's a wonderful organization in our engineering lab. We work with all of the different parts of NIST, and we lead the Smart Grid program.
Okay. And how long have you been involved with SGIP?
I have been involved with SGIP from the very beginning, so going all the way back to when it was just the gem of an idea and we put it into place, all through selecting an SGIP administrator to helping to oversee the votes for the first election for our governing board, all of that all the way through to the transition with the new SGIP. I've been involved in all different parts of this.
So what are some of the ways you've seen SGIP evolve as it's taken on this 2.0?
SGIP has served as the place where all of the cool folks in Smart Grid go to talk and communicate. So in essence, when we pulled all of these stakeholders together, in the early days they didn't necessarily know each other, there was a feeling out process, but over time you realize that all of the experts across the whole multidisciplinary nature of the Smart Grid are all there. They're all eager to do various things, accomplish things, work on the standards, and by bringing them all together and helping to organize it, we were able to make a lot of progress on the Smart Grid standards in a very short amount of time.
So what are some of the benefits that SGIP 2.0 brings to potential members into the industry?
Some of the benefits are basically this is the place to go for standards coordination and development. This is the place to come and have your voice heard within this larger stakeholder community. And if you're interested in particular aspects of the Smart Grid, there's a home for you in the SGIP. We have everything from the Business and Policy Domain Expert Working Group, which I help to lead, to priority action plans, which are dedicated efforts, driving forth towards a goal, to standing committees that, in essence, do the yeoman's work of understanding cybersecurity and architecture, etc. All of these different efforts, someone coming into the SGIP community, it's a good place to come and be welcomed in and have access to some of the leading tech experts. In fact, we were just at a reception the other night. There was a fellow from Ontario who introduced himself to me, and I recognized the name. We've been on email exchanges together, and being able to see an email name become a face, become a colleague, become a friend is just a wonderful transformation, and I've seen it all across the Smart Grid in our interoperability panel. One of the additional things of value is that not everyone can understand every detail of every standard across the Smart Grid, but by having folks organized and aligned and driving progress in particular areas, you're able to pull in the best and brightest in those areas and very quickly get the different perspectives and come to agreement as to what's the best way to proceed. It doesn't necessarily mean that all of the standards will immediately be solved because you sat in a room together, but it then allows you to take that work into the standards development organizations, and you can kind of see a progression where you have an idea, you know that there's a need, you can engage on the standards front, you can help find the right home for it, and then at the end of the day, you can see what implementations end up coming. So what you've thought about from a standard sense becomes actually real.
Yeah. So as far as the future of interoperability, what are you excited for?
I'm excited that the implementations are becoming standards-based. There's this body of work that we've done to set the foundation. In my own area, we've worked on energy usage information standards, we've worked on the green button in order to put that into implementation, but across the Smart Grid areas that the Smart Grid Interoperability Panel works with, you have this foundational work, and then you're able to see how that actually gets implemented, and the benefits of doing a lot of your homework, you show up in making it easier to do products and services.
On the topic of green button, what are the most important things to know about what the green button is?
The green button is the idea that energy usage information is valuable everywhere in the Smart Grid. And by getting it into the hands of consumers so that they can understand and engage with their own energy usage, that is the connection at the end of the distribution chain, going down to consumers, that the smart grid needs to be effective. If the smart grid just optimizes things in its own domain, it's not going to have as much impact as if it engages the consumer and helps them to understand the benefit of being actively involved with their energy usage. From a standards point of view, there was a multi-tiered progress where we had work on a core piece, basically doing an information model to really understand how to describe energy usage information. That was one of the results of one of our priority action plans. We were able to work together, get different stakeholders to agree. It was a very interesting and wild time. Once we took that step, then it opened up all sorts of opportunities. This standard then became used by different standards organizations to kind of set a common platform. And then with that common platform, we weren't satisfied with just doing a standard. We wanted to make it real. So working with the White House, we had the encouragement to basically, let's put this in the hands of consumers. And that's how Green Button was born, by working with some of the California first adopters, having them implement a program in very short order based on the very good work that we in the SGIP had done. They were able to accelerate their activities and have a program that was touching consumers within 3 to 4 months. So that's an example of a standard success. You start with good standards work, and then you have a pathway to plow that into implementation.
Why the name Green Button?
Green Button, the name comes from a takeoff on the blue button. So in some sense, the healthcare folks got to it first. They labeled it as Blue Button and were able to give information to veterans about their medical history. And with that concept, we thought about, okay, energy, what color should we choose for energy? And it's like, green is an excellent color. The Treasury folks are a little unhappy that we got there first, but the Treasury folks were a little unhappy that we got there first, but we were able to then kind of go, green energy, Green Button. It was a way to engage the consumer, and it was a good color for energy.
Anything else?
The environment of the SGIP has been critical to the success. The environment of the SGIP has been critical to the success of the Green Button program, because by being able to pull in the expertise, that national sense of where things are going, we could take some advances in California, couple them with the input from utilities across the country, and help to develop a program that really has the ability to spread nationwide. We have over 30 million customers. Let me start that again. We have over 30 million customers who now have access to the Green Button data, and over 54 million more will have access to it in the upcoming year or so. So basically, we've taken a program from a very initial start, and we've now starting to scale it nationwide, and that starts to get people's attention. You're really making an impact if you're able to engage consumers. Now, the next thing we have to do is to actively engage all consumers with it. Making it accessible is one thing, but the next step is to look at how people are using it and what successes they're having.
Thank you. That was great.